Canada's year-long mission to Mali is now fully operational. 250 soldiers, along with well-armed helicopters, are there to fly transport and reconnaissance as part of a UN peacekeeping mission. But there isn't much peace to keep. This is one of the most dangerous regions in the world, with Islamist rebels in control of much of the north of the country and lawlessness abounding in central regions. Colonel Chris McKenna is in command of Canada's troops involved in Task Force Mali. He joins us now from Gao. So, Colonel McKenna, I want to ask you, your soldiers are on the ground and flight crews are now operational. What are you doing on a typical day like this?
Well, on a typical day in Gao, we always have a crew on standby, or crews on standby, for Chinook and 2 Griffin helicopters to go and do a forward air medical evacuation from somewhere in the area here. So they're on standby 24/7. They were supposed to react in a very short amount of time. And I have other crews who are still training, still getting used to the theater, and we will be full up in about 2 weeks.
And what is the main risk to Canadian troops in Mali right now?
Well, actually, the main risk is the environmental or the climatic risk, I guess. It's very hot. It's very, very dusty. It's very difficult to maintain helicopters in this sort of climate. And things happen here very quickly in terms of weather. We have sandstorms that come up with very little warning. And we have to deal with dusty conditions on the ground and very harsh heat for my soldiers to operate in.
I'm very interested to hear you say that, sir, because I think so much of the focus has been on the dangers in the region. In fact, it is considered by some to be the most dangerous UN peacekeeping mission in the world. There was an ambush just on Tuesday that killed 4 Malian troops and 8 militants. Every military mission does include a casualty assessment before deployment, and I'd like to know, what can you tell us about what that assessment told us about this mission and the dangers it entails?
Well, I wouldn't downplay the dangers of the mission in the sense that if you are a MINUSMA soldier out driving in the area of operations here, it's very dangerous. I think it's much less risky to fly over this area of operations, and certainly we mitigate that risk considerably with the weapons we put on the aircraft, the armor, and obviously the great training of our crews and technicians to make sure the aircraft are ready to go.
Now, a senior government official was quoted by the Globe and Mail as saying Canadians should prepare for casualties on this mission, obviously something that no Canadian wants to see. But I wonder, if we should prepare for casualties, what kind of numbers do you think that we're talking about?
I would never speculate on numbers, and quite honestly, we focus on getting our mission done and making sure that we save lives here. That's our job.
Do you agree with the gist of that sentiment,
though? The way I would describe it is, I agree that it's a dangerous mission, but I would not say that I am prepared for a specific number of casualties. We train very hard to make sure that there are 0 casualties.
Talk about why Mali is the right mission. What danger does the insurgency in Mali pose to us in Canada and to our allies?
So I think it's better to frame the question, what can we provide to the UN and how can we make them better in Mali? Canada provides a very high-end capability here that is very modern and very robust. We are one of the only military helicopter detachments in this entire country, and we provide a strategic effect for the commander of MINUSMA, and that allows him to project forces here with some certainty that they're going to be evacuated and to make sure that they can be resupplied in this area of operations. So that's really our focus.
And what do Canadian troops understand about what exactly it is that they hope to accomplish from sort of a bigger picture perspective?
Well, tactically, I want to. My aim is to make sure we are as reactive as we possibly can be, to get off the ground and go save a life. That's the singular focus of my task force, is to make sure that when called, we get given a 9-line request, which means we've been asked to go and pick up an injured MINUSMA soldier or a civilian, that we are in the air as fast as we can be to go and get that person, bring them back to care. That's the metric that I focus on.
What are the rules of engagement if some of our helicopters or our troops are fired upon?
So I won't speculate on the specific rules of engagement. I don't want to give an operational advantage to anyone, but certainly I have very robust rules of engagement in the sense that I can defend all of my people and my equipment, and I can defend civilians and other militaries in this area of operations. I have very good rules of engagement.
As a layperson, I would interpret that as if you are threatened that you can fire back or fire?
Absolutely.
Okay, Canada has committed to boost its level of female soldiers sent on this mission. Did we hit that bar?
So we certainly took a cohort of Canadian soldiers that represents essentially the same percentages as you'd see at home. I believe I have about 14% women in my task force right now, and they're pretty much spread across every trade and every function in my task force.
And is that a level that you're comfortable with, or something that Canada aspires to increase?
I think when you have more of both genders in any task force, you make better decisions and you are better prepared to execute your mission.
Finally, sir, I just want to ask you, there was a lot of question about Canada's work in Iraq, about whether it truly was or was not a combat mission. You mentioned a moment ago that obviously if you're under threat, the rules of engagement broadly allow you to return fire, to defend yourselves. But given that there is going to be a lot of discussion about whether this is a combat mission or not, can you talk about that issue and how you perceive this mission?
Well, I would say this is not a combat mission. I am in a stabilization mission to assist MINUSMA in making this country more safe on the ground. So we provide a very specific effect, that is a medevac effect, and providing helicopter support to the ground troops as they have to maneuver around this theater. But the idea is that we are stabilizing, and we are providing that effect in support of the Forces Armées Maliennes, the Malian military, who is the military of the sovereign nation of Mali.
Okay. Well, we thank you very much for your time today. Colonel Chris McKenna.
Okay, thank you very much. Have a good night.